Let's envision a world where Cliff Burton does not die in that tour bus accident in 1986. Where would we be? What would that look like? My sense is that he would have eventually quit Metallica, that he would have found it too restricting for his musical ambitions, particularly if Lars and James had gone in that straight rock direction that they ended up going in. I feel like that would have been an inevitable conflict. They would have been at cross purposes there. I also think that the rule that you can't do outside projects would not have flown with this guy. There was too much breadth of musical appreciation there. As bassist YouTuber Paul DeBello explains in his excellent Cliff Burton breakdown video, his formal knowledge of music complemented the raw, primal style of Lars and James. Now, when Dave Mustaine quit the band, they lost somebody to offset the power that Lars and James had in the band. They would eventually sort of take over the creative process. And then when they lost Cliff Burton, they completely edged out Jason Newsted, Burton's replacement, who had been the primary dominant force in Flotsam and Jetsam. And then the rest, as we all know, is history. So they were already running on a kind of imbalance of power by the time they made their first 3 records. What happens, though, if Cliff Burton doesn't pass away? What happens if he stays in Metallica? I'm thinking either he would have left altogether or prevented them from going overboard. I certainly don't think we get Load and Reload, or if we do, I think those moves into like country and southern rock and all those different explorations end up happening in a way that's not as clumsy. Now, I have since changed my tune on that album. I have a whole reevaluation video or re-reevaluation, but I feel like Burton would have brought a touch of grace and kind of, for lack of a better word, class, although that's not the right word. I just sense that his way of exploring music wouldn't have come off as clunky. And if he had still been in the band when they did Lulu, maybe that would have yielded some more interesting sparks. I don't know. Of course, there's no way any of us can know. What do you think? When you imagine Cliff Burton still being with us, what does that look like to you? What does that look like for Metallica? What does that look like for his, like maybe he would have had his own body of work. I feel like that would have almost been inevitable, that he would have done other things outside of metal. I just don't think you can take a musician like that and confine them for their entire career. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. This has been a Metallica Minute on FeedbackDef. Stay tuned for more Metallica content, more thrash content, more metal. So be sure to hit those like, subscribe, and notification buttons so you never miss a post.